Welcome back. Now, insurance companies that were raided by the Competition Commission for alleged price collusion say that they will fully cooperate with the authority. The raids were conducted in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal and the Western Cape yesterday and will continue this morning. Now, the Commission conducted search and seizure operations at the premises of 8 insurance companies, including Old Mutual, Brightrock, Discovery, Hollard and Sanlam. And the companies are alleged to have colluded to fix the price of fees for investment products such as retirement annuities, life cover, disability, as well as funeral assistance benefits. The Commission says that the search and seizure operations are part of an ongoing investigation that was initiated by the Commissioner in January 2021. Sipho Ngwema is the head of communications at the Competition Commission, and he joins us now to tell us more about this latest operation. Mr. Ngwema, good to see you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Sakina, good morning. Good morning to your listeners, and thanks once again for having us on your program. Always good to see you.
Likewise. Mr. Ngwema, first and foremost, the companies that were raided, what exactly led to this raid?
Sakina, the Commissioner in January last year instituted this investigation after we received information from one of the prominent companies in the space informing us that there were suspicions of collusion, there were suspicions of price fixing, and these companies were coming together, fixing the price, adjusting prices in terms of existing and new insurance products. And after having gone through that information and after scrutinizing that information since January this last year and doing most of the work, and we decided that I think it is prudent to then search and seize information at these various companies to assist us to be able to take a decision on whether or not the allegations that have been brought before us, they warrant us to take further action. So this is part of an information gathering exercise in order for us to find evidence that will then substantiate the claims that have been made by one of the players, as I said.
So in simple terms, Mr. Ngwema, just to get our viewers who are watching now, those who may have products with these companies, what exactly, in very simple terms, are these companies accused of having done potentially wrong, and what does it mean for the clients, the consumers?
What the accusation is that these companies have shared sensitive information with regards to premium rates of risk-related products, as I said earlier, and also fees for investment products. And very many of these products is products that are in the life space where various entities or human beings take these long-term insurance companies. Those include risk-related products like life cover, funeral cover, disability cover, dreaded disease, medical condition covers, and also covers that have to do with retirement annuities and other related investment products, as I said. So the allegation is that these companies sit together in breach of the Competition Act and then decide amongst themselves on how to adjust prices in terms of the new and old products, so that those prices they agreed amongst themselves, which then are going to be put to consumers who then buy these products.
And, you know, I'm listening to this and I can't help but think, so why would they do this? Are they not in direct competition with one another? Because if they are, how do they stand to benefit from this sort of collusive behavior?
Exactly, and this is why the Act gives us the powers to institute such an investigation, because it is anti-competitive if indeed something like that is happening. The law prohibits competitors to share sensitive information that may then manipulate the price. Of course, the reason we have companies that must compete is because at the end, the benefit is extended to the consumer, because when companies compete, it means the quality improves, but also it means the prices must go down. So prices will not go down if they sit together, because none of them would want to beat the rest by coming with reasonable or fair prices to the consumer. So when they keep the prices high, it is to their advantage, because anyone who would come and disrupt the market by introducing lower prices, albeit with quality products will disrupt their business and make sure that in the end they would not get the kinds of profits that they're getting. So that's the benefit to them. But unfortunately, that benefit for them is very unfair to the consumer, because the squeezed consumer now has to pay more prices where there is an opportunity for them to be able to pay lower prices. However, if the allegations are true, companies come together, they set up these prices, then in the end, the consumer does not benefit from having more products, more companies on the market, because those companies would be sitting together and cooking those prices.
And very often this is where the consumer feels aggrieved even further, because it is the consumer that bears the brunt of this illegal activity, and yet when the companies are fined, if there are penalties imposed, the consumer doesn't really benefit from that, or do they in some way or another?
It depends on the fine or on the remedy that is introduced by whatever competition authority, whether it's an agreement between us and those people, or it's a fine that is imposed by the competition tribunal. But also you must remember, all of us were working within the confines of the relevant act, and it is those who set the law who then prescribe to us in terms of how the fines should be imposed on these companies. I know that there's a lot of criticism with regards to some of the fines, but unfortunately there's very little competition authorities can do, because we do not make the law, we just apply it. However, in terms of your question, it depends on the remedy that is introduced. In some cases, money has gone back to the consumers with regards to either prices going down, or in some situations, money being returned to consumers. But it depends on the merits of the case, but also it depends on the penalty that is imposed with regard to a particular matter that is before the competition authorities.
Mr. Ngwema, so what could, if they are found guilty, what could the possible penalties be?
The possible penalty that is, or the highest penalty imposed, which most of the cases we always ask for given the gravity of these cases, is 10% of their turnover. So if you look at this particular one, you will realize that in terms of the allegations that we have, it seems as though this matter dates back to the 1980s. So when competition authorities look at the gravity of the issue, the highest penalty that can be imposed is 10% of their turnover. But those issues will be able to determine once we get to the end of this investigation. Now we are in the process of collating evidence or information that will be able to assist us to take a decision on whether or not to prosecute any of the companies that may be involved in breaching of the Competition Act. But that will be determined, as I said, at the end of the investigation.
Mr. Ngwema, you conducted some raids yesterday, and are you able to tell us or share with us at this point, what you were actually looking for and what those search and seizure operations revealed? And we are also told you're going back again today. Would this be to other companies or the same companies that you raided yesterday?
We finished very late into the night last night, but we were looking for information that will be able to assist us to substantiate the allegations that have been made. We're looking for documents, we're looking for journals, we're looking for electronic devices, or even information in electronic form that can assist us in terms of collating that information. So for now, we're still rounding up in terms of the teams. As I said, they finished very late, so we should be able to know in the next hour or two in terms of the work that has been done, and therefore know exactly what needs to be done today. But the operation continues, and we are collating that information. If there are any entities that we couldn't finish last night, we'll certainly finish today. But as I said, the investigation continues, and will be determined by the information that we received today, last night, and yesterday, in order for us to know what is the next course of action with regards to the investigation.
And are you able to give us an indication as to how long this will take, the investigation?
Look, it's very difficult to say that. One, we don't know exactly. We haven't really done an audit of what we have found, but we still have to sift through that. And sometimes a piece of information may lead you to more leads. So it's very difficult at this point to be able to say when are we able to finish the investigation. But we are hoping that we should be able to finish it as practically possible. But in terms of time frames, I think we cannot be able to say that now. We will only be able to say that once we have been able to look at the information and what it tells us and what course of action needs to be done. But also, you must remember, sometimes there are litigations, there are things that may hinder the process, but we are hoping to finish it as practically possible in order for us to be able to make that determination in the end in terms of the course of the investigation.
Mr. Ngwema, one of the other very important issues for consumers is, of course, on the price of food. And your commission also busy with this. And this week, many people have been complaining about the price of food that goes up. But even when the conditions change, the price never comes down. And you found, or you were investigating whether retailers are actually overcharging consumers for oil and bread.
Yes, indeed. We released our essential foods monitoring report. We monitor food prices. You know what has happened with the advent of COVID and many companies involving in price gouging, where consumers again bore the brunt of those prices. This week we released that essential food report, which then showed why the oil prices went up, and even when they went down, and when we suspect that there are opportunistic increases linked to that, those prices, when they finally went down, those savings were not passed on to the consumer. We are monitoring those. We want to make sure that whatever happens with regards to the prices, there is no breach of the Competition Act. And if there's a breach of the Competition Act, we have got instruments and tools in order for us to be able to investigate those. But we are noticing, as I said, that those prices, those savings that are made at manufacturing level are not passed on to the consumer, and some of the prices still have gone up. So those things we're monitoring. If an appropriate action needs to be taken at a particular point, we'll be able to look into that and take a decision.
Are there any particular industry players that you are monitoring or investigating at this point with regard to that?
Look, we are not. As I said, we have taken interest in terms of the cooking oil, given the fact that it's one of the basic and essential food commodities. But of course, if it means that we must zoom into certain entities or businesses, we'll certainly do that. But for now, we are just looking into the sector, just looking into the progression of the grain and into people's kitchen, and to see what influences the prices. And as I said, we have seen how those prices affect inflation, and how those prices, when they come down, do not translate into the consumers getting the benefit of that. But we are monitoring, we will continue to monitor, but as you know, if we have to take action as we have done in the past, we'll certainly do so.
And then just a final one with regard to sports and the SABC also, complaining about the ability to actually broadcast national sports and, taking this matter to the Competition Commission. Any developments on that front, Mr. Ngwema?
Yes, indeed. We have that complaint with us. We are looking into it to respite to an extent that it extends to anything that may lessen or distort competition in that regard. When there are developments, or certainly you will hear from us, and we'll make a public announcement in that regard. But yes, we are watching. Yes, we are doing work in that regard to make sure that everything that is happening is within the law, and to look into the allegations that have been made and to see whether or not a course of action is needed. But certainly it is on our desk, and it's something that we are looking into.
Mr. Ngwema, thanks so much for your time. And just for those who missed it, the SABC, of course, wants to broadcast the games of all South Africa's national sports teams. And they feel at the moment that they are being stymied in that regard. So we'll follow up, as Mr. Ngwema said, as soon as there is any further development, we'll let you know about that.